Hi, and welcome to this week's show where we paint the eyes in the next stage of Roger's journey for his portrait. Hope you're going to really enjoy this one. Look, please, it really does make a lot if you can just hit that subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, write some comments, or you know all that stuff works. That's all the social media stuff going on there. Absolutely fantastic. In this demonstration, as I paint these eyes, I'm going to reveal to you my techniques for making eyes look really good. And it's very, very simple. There's just a few things. You get them in the right order, in the right place, and everything works every time. It's going to be fantastic. Thank you very much for joining me. And without further ado, let's paint.
Well, welcome to the palette, and painting eyes is really interesting. They are really like a jigsaw puzzle, and that is what I mean is what you're going to see is I'm going to be painting very small marks, but different shapes, and I'm going to leave gaps in those shapes for the other shapes to interlock into. So rather than doing smooth edges as you might do if you're doing like a gradation across the forehead, this time I'm going to leave lumps and bumps so the pieces actually fit in. I actually refer to it like as a jigsaw method. And again, this time, I normally start with the darks, but I won't strictly adhere to the darks this time. I'll actually work down the eye in the actual pieces. So you'll actually see me jump around on my board from darks to lights and really mixing them up. I do have pre-made colors again, as I like to do on my palette, but say I will be playing with them as we go along. And you can see I've already mixed up some extras there. So you can see there's little gaps, and it might be a little bit hard to see initially on the screen because the values are pretty close, but it's amazing what the human eye can pick up. The cameras may not pick it up, but when you actually see the painting in real life, it's amazing what the human eyes can pick up. So what I want to talk about this, when you think of the character of the person, because that's what the eyes are all about, they're about the character of the person. So what I've done is I've drawn lots of little lines in here and lots of little shapes, just trying to envisage an older man's eye, and the sags and the bags and all that stuff. And then I'm just going to work around it, and you see I'm just putting very small marks. This is like putting a jigsaw piece together, and that's why eyes can take quite a bit of time, but I do find people get intimidated by them. But there's not really a lot of skill in them. The only real skill is the patience, really, just to put lots of different coloured marks into what's relatively a small area. So we started off with the hair doing quite large areas. The forehead has got quite, even they get a little more concentrated areas. So we did the forehead there. And the eyes just get a little bit more detail. Now, this is important because the devil is in the detail. And the detail to me is the number of value shifts you can put into an area. And so if you want the eyes or any particular part of your portrait or a landscape or a still life to be the center of attention or the focal point, put in the value shifts there, putting more intense value shifts there. So I had some dark, so I just popped across, and it was really just to try and balance my own eyes, see one compared to the other. That's why I just jumped across there for no other reason. So what I'm saying is, in a portrait, we want the viewer's attention to come to the eyes. That's the center of interest. Quite often, if you look at some of the old masters, you'll look at their paintings and go, wow, there's something in there that just grabs you. But then you may go to a beard and go, well, there's not a lot of detail in that beard. Or the hair, and there's not a lot of detail. Or the ear, and there's not a lot of detail. Sometimes the eyes actually disappear. It's just value shifts, but when you zoom in, you kind of go, oh, there's not even an eye there. One eye may be there, which is drawing all your attention. The other eye might be in a deep shadow, which is losing the attention. In this portrait, we've got one eye is going to be darker because it's in a more shaded area on his right-hand side, our left-hand side if we're looking at it, and then the other side's going to be lighter. But what you really want is little, and this just comes from experience. Look, the best way is get a photograph of somebody, have a look and see if you can draw those little pieces and spend a bit of patience drawing the little pieces and go, you know what, I'll just fill them in. Now again, what you see me press that bristle there, and I'm pushing that bristle, especially when I get near the edges. I don't want to blendy blend, I don't want to do that, but I will push those bristles, make them splay out, make them push that lighter color into the darker, and as they come back out, they'll draw some of that darker into the lighter. So I will get, rather than just hard lines, I will get some sort of natural blending there. Is that a way of describing that, natural blending? I don't know. But anyway, what I'm not doing is going wipey wipe over the top of it. What I am doing is being very patient and look, see, I've even mixed up some more tonal colors. You can see I've been all around the palette now, just grabbing lights and darks, and I don't work in a very strict methodology of dark to light when I'm doing eyes. You see I'm starting at the top and I'm coming down. Now I'm going to block that eye in, or mark it in I should say. And I'm just drawing with the brush. That's a number 5 filbert, by the way. I like my filbert so I can get a nice sharp pointy bit on there. And the line doesn't have to, you see I dab. So what I'm attempting to do, without overdoing it, is make the lines different thicknesses that I'm coming around. I don't just want a beautiful pencil perfect line, so I dab in, I'll turn the bristles. I don't want it straight. Then when I put a color underneath, I'll push it in and pull. I want unevenness. I don't want perfection. I heard Mark Carter say paint ugly, and I guess that's what I'm trying to do, because as I always say, what that does, it gives the viewer's eyes something to grip on. They will smooth it out for you. It's amazing. You know, I've seen polished marbles, you know, painted in the most choppiest rough brush strokes, but all the values are right, and then the person's eyes just fix it up. So we're going to zoom in now, and you can see how ugly, if I'm going to be honest, it looks. So this is really hard. You're really close up on the palette now, and this is where I am, and it looks a mess. You know, let's be honest, it looks a mess. If you were here, you've got to put yourself in the viewers, in the chair of the painter, and go, that looks a real mess. But when we stand back 2, 3, 4 feet from it, the eyes fix it all, and all that mess creates character. So mess creates character, value shifts. The more value shifts I can get in there, the more subtle. And as I get to the edges, I'm pushed. See, I push, dab, dab. I'm pushing the bristles one to the other. And then once we've got all that mapped out, you can see all the different shades now coming. Still looks a bit messy because we're nice and close up here. You're at my viewing angle. I just thought you might like to see what I'm actually seeing. I've actually changed the brush now. I've actually come down to, I think it's a number 2 round, it could be, that I'm using. I just grabbed a small brush. And then we're just going to start putting different values actually in the eye. Now, here's something about eyes. Now, we all know that the eye is round, yeah? But I'm not going to paint it round. In fact, I've got very little intention of adhering to it. I've got a rough shape. I've got its size more than anything in here. That's just a pupil. The pupil, I'm not going to make a round shape. I'm just going to push it in and see how uneven I can make it. So that's what I'm doing there. And you see, I'll just work my way into this by moving around this eye now. And all I'm doing now is thinking that that side that I'm painting now should be darker than the other side. So it's got quite a bit of blue and quite a bit of brown in there. Don't just make them blue. Even people who's got blue eyes, put a bit of burnt umber in there and the blue will look more realistic. You know, you've got to just desaturate it, as they say. And I think you can notice now that one side is getting lighter than the other side. And I will move the brush in the shape of the eye, like in a circular motion. I just put a bit of dark over the top just so you can see. But that eye is definitely not perfectly round. When you look at that, you zoom in, you'll go, I haven't like put a coin on there or used a compass and drawn a perfectly round circle, because I don't have to. In fact, if I do that, it will look false. It's amazing. It's really weird. if you paint it perfectly round like you did with a compass, it won't look real for some reason. So if you paint it just off round, don't worry about too much when you're just digging in with your brush. If you knock it around a little bit, all that will add character, and then the person's eyes will just straighten it out. I'll just grab a drink, guys. But yeah, I quite often get asked, what's that dabbing motion? You know, someone said, hey, you're trying to copy Monet, you know, because he had the dab, dab, dab all over the place. No, it's just the bristles just pushing one colour into another. It's my blending method without blending. And we'll shift across to the other eye. Now, that eye, I said, is going to be darker than the other eye. But look how your eyes can really play tricks on you. Remember, I'm watching this and going, that actually looks light. And it'll look light until I get the other eye in place. And then all of a sudden, the other eye will look light and that'll look slightly darker. Now, remember, we are coming down. It is going to catch a bit of light. Now, sometimes I will actually put marks across the top of his glass, you know, to indicate the glass is there. And I might do that, but right now I'm not going to. Right now I'm just going to paint the eye. And it is more painting, you know, don't just paint what you see, but paint what you know. We know in that darker room, you know, inside the glass, it's going to be darker. We know he's going to have bags in there. We can just push them in. He's going to have different lines. You can see the different lines on his right-hand eye now that have gone in there. And I'm just slowly working my way around. And I say, when I paint eyes, I think of it as a jigsaw puzzle. So no straight smoothie lines coming in. I want one colour, like lumps and bumps in those marks that I'm making room for another colour, or another value I should say, to bolt in or to slot into there. And I think that's probably one of the keys to painting eyes. Lots of little marks, lots of value shifts, and lumpy bumpy lines so you can push the other colours in there and the other values in there. So there's no, because there's no smooth lines in the eye at all. It is circular, but there's a lot going on that moves. You have a look at some older people's eyes and they are really, you know, the cracks and the bags and all the lumpy bits that are in there. They're really interesting. I love painting eyes because of that. But I say anyone can paint realistic eyes. There's only one criteria, and that's patience. It really is. Again, I'm sticking with a smaller brush. I do paint eyes with a number 5 or a number 6, even number 7 sometimes. But in this instance, I just really wanted to get in and paint this in with this brush. I quite like how this brush flows as well. You can really see those bristles moving, and I think it's given me a really good indication of what's going on. Now, all I'll do now is I'll just move down, and you'll see I'm moving dark to light, and then I'll shift back to darks. I'm not being religious when I come to eyes. You know, because I've moved down, I know there's going to be a lighter spot. We'll just have in some darker spot. And see, all I do is just mark it in. I know he's going to have some bags under his eyes. I'm not really too sure, but it must be there somewhere. So we'll put it in. We can sit back and have a look at it. And if we like it, we'll keep it. And if we don't, we'll push it around. That's the beauty about alla prima. We'll just push it around, do what we want. Now, so I can see what's going on with the eye, I'll start working on the eye itself. Now, it is important to make one eye the same size as the other eye, or else it's going to look a bit wonky. And the best way of doing this is just use your own eyes for judgment. Look across from one to the other. Yeah, it's a bit fatter, it's a bit smaller. And as I'm marking these lines, that's exactly what I was doing there. I'm looking for not only where it starts, but I'm now looking for where the other edge is going to go and making sure that they're in alignment. At the end of this video, I'm going to show you a very simple strategy that will make your eyes really, really good. That you just need to obey this one little rule, and then everything else is up for grabs, basically. You know, jigsaw puzzling, little small marks, but this one at the end will get you eyes that you kind of go, aha, my eyes are now working all the time. Now, you see, I'm just filling this in just with that grey blue mixture. I've just used ultramarine blue, burnt umber, and then a fair bit of white to bring it into that shade that I want it. The concentration here is I'm constantly, my eyes are moving one to the other and going, yep, they're about the same size. Now here's a classic. Look at his left-hand eye, the one I'm doing right now. It is not round. You have a look at that and you're going to go, oh, it's not. You haven't painted it round at all. In fact, the edges go off. You know, look at that. I'll curl a little bit in there. Now I'm going to put a little bit of a dark mark in there. Just from experience has told me that if you do that on an eye, so the eyes are not perfect, they're matched, because you don't want two eyes that are exactly the same. That'd be terrible. Just by putting little marks like that, as we get through the painting and we start to finish it, when we step back, all these lumps and bumps, look at it, really stands out. I will actually quieten that down a little bit. As you know, I like to paint, if I'm not too sure, I'll paint it darker than what it needs to be, and then I can always go back in later. You know, always paint it a bit darker. If you're not too sure, put it a bit darker, and you can always just go back in with your Alla Prima and lighten it up. And now with that brightness, that is too bright, but that's easy. I'll just darken that out and smooth it into the other eye. We'll now come into the highlights. Now the highlights are again that ultramarine blue, burnt umber mixture, bit of white in there, you know, to lighten it up, but certainly not white. We certainly don't want white because it will just jump. Now we step back, it starts to give you a little bit of better imagery of the eye. One thing I'm going to say about eyes, you may look at them and you'll start questioning them and do they look right. My advice is before you think if your eye is right, paint the nose in. So I wasn't, we were just going to do a video on eyes today, but let's just pop the nose in just to show you the effect of what happens once that nose comes in and we do a little bit of the cheek line. I've just mixed up some fresh color. I'm often cleaning off my palette. If I say the nose, I'll just mix. One of the advantages of pre-mixing colors, I can just get on and paint. I can just, and all I'm doing just making a string of values sitting there, which you saw. It just means I can paint now. I can just look at that, and of course I'll play with those colors as I go along. They're not going to be perfect. I don't need them to be. I just need them just to move along like that. And all I'm using for this flesh color and for the nose here is I start off with a base of my cadmium yellow. Then I mix on top of that the red to take into the red, and then to darken it, because I'm using a limited palette, I'm actually using burnt umber to darken it. Now, a word of warning, when you add burnt umber to that mixture, as you start adding it to darken it, it may start to shift to green because it does the burnt umber. So just put a bit of red in there, because if you looked on your color wheel, the opposite to green is red, so you just pop a little bit of red. That'll knock the green out, and because red does darken colors as well, that's handy. We don't normally use it to darken, we normally use burnt umber. Interesting point, I was asked that just on my palette. If I want to darken something, I have a choice of blue or burnt umber. They're my only two go-tos, and I can add some of my black in, but remember my black, I make it 60% ultramarine blue and 40% burnt umber. But for skin tones and this, I will purely just stick to the burnt umber. It's interesting because you can get yellow and you want to darken your yellow. Just add burnt umber into it, and that way it will little tiny bits, and you'll see your yellow darken, but keep its vibrancy. You won't lose the yellow as quick. So there's a little tip. So all I've done here is, as I said, I've started off with my base, and you can see it's quite pinky. So all I've done, I've added a little bit more red. As it's lightened up, I've just put a tad more of that alizarin crimson in there, and we know that halfway down this face, there's going to be that line, that shadow line. And you see with the brush on its edge there, I will draw that line in. Now again, you see that dab? I'm still dabbing, I'm still pushing the bristles so it'll spread one paint into one value into the other and pull the other value back with it. So that's what I do there. Whereas when I go to the glasses here, I won't do that motion. I will on the top there, whereas I'm just onto his creases, just in his nose, on the top of the nose area there. But here I will do a more of a drawing line and not push into the glasses. And you can see I'm just working through. That's the lightest color, by the way. So it's definitely not white. Definitely not white. It looks really bright when you put it on the screen. Or when you put it on first, you're going to go, oh, especially when you're a foot away like I am, kind of go, oh, is that too bright? Look, you've mixed it, pop it in there, just let it settle on you, and you've been much better. So there's a bit of blue coming in now because I wanted to darken in here. And because I want to shift it more into that blacky area, I might even grab some black because it's got blue and brown in it. And I'll just pop it under there. Now there is a mustache coming under here. So you may be going, well, that's pretty dark. Yes, I deliberately want that dark now because there's going to be a grey mustache coming on. He's got a grey beard, by the way, and a grey mustache. So we really want to make sure that we've got something dark and solid underneath that, because it's a lot easier to get the lights on top. It's going to be very difficult to darken it afterwards. And you can see I've actually moved it to more of that purpley color under there, because shadows, you know, quite often have purple. I can't remember which plein air painter I was watching, and he uses dioxide purple. I mean, I mix my own. You know, I'd use just blue, red, see which way it's going, and I'm away doing it that way. But yeah, shadows can have different colors. They can be, you know, warmer with the browns and the reds in there, or they can be cooler with the purples. And because his nose is quite warm, as they would say warm, because it's in the reddy tones, I've used a cooler shadow underneath. So one of the tricks, I suppose, of painting is not only in value shifts, but see if you can get temperature shifts, what they call temperature shifts, going light, warm and cool. And there we go. I'll just take a close-up picture of that so you can see it. You can see the crease is probably too dark. Now this is what I mean. See the angle of the eye? It matches the angle of the top of the head there. Angle of the mouth is the same, and the angle of the chin. That will get you to your desired result all the time.
Well, thanks for joining me on that demonstration as we painted Roger's eyes in another step in his journey of his portrait. Getting all tongue-tied there. No, it's been absolutely fantastic having your company. I hope you'll hit the subscribe, hope you hit the thumbs up, hope you enjoyed that. Give me some comments, all that love, you know, they do on the social media. It'd be fantastic. And next time when we come back, we're going to be painting the ears, the cheeks, the mouth, and we'll probably even get his beard in there. So that is going to be really fantastic. So hit the subscribe and hit the little notification bell. That'll be terrific. Thanks again for joining me, and I'll see you on the next one.